Look at all these cats. I love it.
They're great.
Hey, James, do you have something in front of your screen? Everything, all the lights behind you were super.
He's gonna wipe it off.
That's what I thought. I was trying to be nice.
Thank you for that. Yeah, it happens all the time. It's part of my je vie, right? It's get into speaker mode here, and whoop, this meeting is being recorded. Yes, I want to continue. Welcome to Crypto Dojo. My name's James, your humble host. You're not so humble host. In fact, I've been having to defend why I think humility is bad. But that's a whole other topic. I'm not going to get into that. Thanks for coming to talk about about crypto. Couple of ground rules. We'll be here for an hour and a half. This could be the first of many meetings. I really don't know. I don't even necessarily have a preference for or against us meeting again. I wanted to do this because, in my opinion, everything about the psychology of crypto is directly in line with the psychology of Best Apocalypse Ever, of what we talk about. I'm under the impression that this idea that I've been saying over and over again, that there's this sort of hermetic order that runs things like Waynell Sexton and NASA and all the things that we see, not necessarily for nefarious purposes. Are they pranksters? Yes. Yes. Are they violating your sense of tranquility? Of course. Of course. But beyond that, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's evil. And if you heard my stream today, I probably won't go into, I won't make you hear it again, but I wanted to spend my time, Melanie's time, all of us are here because we believe in something about this. And I don't want you to come not believing in crypto and suddenly believe in crypto. This is not an evangelical opportunity. That was years ago. And we talked about this last summer. The few times I went into crypto, I was evangelical about it. I was evangelizing for it. And it was very expensive because the second you even start to talk about that, you see the psychology of what we've been brought up in rearing its ugly head, and claws come out. And you're watching people attack other people simply for maybe wanting to succeed. I really think that there's a whole huge matrix in play there, which is, again, why I wanted you to consider this. Mm-hmm. Some of you are coming through, all of you are coming through into Aquarius from a different era. And that era has a constricting nature to everything that you think of. And I believe that this is an exponential change that's here, and that it's not based on scarcity. It's actually based on manifest destiny. It's really weird that I'm saying that because I've done streams about that particular word, but I want you to imagine that there is a psychology that you've been under, that your parents have been under, that your grandparents have been under. And it's not even nefarious. I think it's built into the ebbs and flows of our cycle, the aperture of the corona opening and closing, God, however you want to explain it. I think that we're seeing the ebb and flow of constriction and abundance, which is causing this entire organism to grow. It's important. Mm-hmm. And I want you all to learn to shed as quickly as you can the old psychology of the pyramid, of the petrodollar. The pyramid is distribution from the top down. It's a disbursement of abundance. But literally everything in nature is the opposite. It's percolation. It's a percolatory abundance. And under a percolatory abundance, there is no scarcity, that the grass itself does not have the resources to compete for height, and it doesn't have to, that there's space for it and all of its brethren to spread out, and it doesn't need to waste all that energy to build a stock.
Mm.
And I think that really that's what's happening now. And if you're out of touch with where that, James, where is that energy coming from? It's coming from your witness. I'm not trying to be parabolic or hyperbolic here, that when you've been watching Hollywood, when we've been watching television, when we've been putting our prana into, oh, well, he went to Cornell, when we've been pouring our prana into, wow, look at that dude's got an Audi A6 or whatever. When we're putting our prana into all of the fashion, into the Marilyn Monroes, into the Bogarts, into all of these things that we put into, that you're looking at the pure raw power of witness that we call fame, that we've never had a quantification for, that we've always given it freely, and that we gave our attention, and that the moment you gave your attention, the entire world of advertising was formed, that an entire level of wealth that did not exist before was created out of fucking air, out of nothing. And I'm telling you that nothing is something, and that something is your witness. And if you think about what crypto is, it is the quantification of your witness, whether that be good or bad, that your witness is priceless, and that cryptocurrency is telling you that it's worth something. And that most of us have jobs, and that in 2 decades, you're going to sound like that crazy old man that smells like Old Spice, because he's talking about job. He's talking about this thing called employment, where he's defining for you a life that's based on the secretion of his time as a resource that's, he pretends to be infinite, but is actually finite. And that your consciousness itself is something that will work for you 24 hours a day, and it will be manifested in the economy of crypto. I'm telling you, it's already happened. It's already been here. You've only seen it secreted through Farrah Fawcett posters on the wall, through archetypal representations being usurped by Hollywood with the story of Thor, with all of the Marvel franchise just jizzing all over all of your mythological witness and turning it into gold. So I'm probably beating this around the bush, but I need you to know how valuable your witness is, because when you start to look at crypto, I don't know if all of us, even some of us, even me, are looking even far enough at what's going to happen, that what already is happening. The NFT craze, which some of you probably don't even know what that is the secretion of witness into a blockchain hash. And that the events that you prescribe in your life, the events that are most valuable to you, are the time your son was born, or the time when you graduated from college, or when you got your first car, or when you got laid. And those times have a timestamp. They have a date, a time, and a location with them, and they are always charged in your prana. You reminisce about Lookout's Point, right? You have these feelings about that concert you saw in the summer. These things are tangible and quantifiable, and they will feed your freaking family if you value them properly. And I swear to you, that's what crypto is, that you're watching an alignment of people around tents of what they consider good, popular, fashionable, hip, awesome, edgy, goth, punk, whatever, that those things are postulates. They're freaking umbrellas that you assemble your tribe out of. Just as all of us came out of COVID and we felt alone and we were like, fuck, what's the first thing we did? We found tribe. was the very first thing you did because you wanted to feel less crazy. And it worked. You found tribe, and now you feel less crazy. Didn't necessarily change things, but you feel less crazy. And that you found that because of the very power that I'm talking about, this witness economy. What crypto is right now is such a zygote of what this creature will be when it's up and walking. And thinking about that now, placing your simulation, we talk about this all the time, placing your plasmatic simulation into the future and seeing like a freaking wizard in a cave that you travel 8 months for, you know, to go, what's the prophecy? And he's like, oh, that you're seeing the oracle of Delphi manifested right the fuck now in the Pythos, the snake of blockchain. That the oracle itself is breeding a new world, and that you have been chosen, I swear, you've been chosen simply by the power of your discernment to lead this charge. I'm telling you. And I know I'm sounding prophetic, but it's just fucking true. It's just true. And right now you're looking at the porn landscape of cryptocurrency playing out. You're looking at the most volatile, orgimatic sex rituals of wanton trust happening all over. And some of you are like, oh, and that's a good, healthy response. But it doesn't mean that that's what crypto is. It means that when you're looking at the scrotum of this gigantic beast, you're going to see things involving genitals and sex. You're looking at the base, the emergence of this thing that's growing up. And if you can keep your perspective on that, I think it'll change a lot of your worries, concerns, if there are any, about what's happening with the economy. That when you look at this, I swear there's a dude that's like, yeah, well, how do we get them to quit their job and start looking at other shit? And the other guy's like, dude, the vaccine. He's like, oh my God, that's brilliant, Carl. And Carl's like, yeah, you're totally right. It's brilliant. It's like, wait a minute. What about all the people that like freak out about shit? It's like, yeah, well, they'll get the vaccine. They're like, God, Carl, this is evil, right? No, it's not evil. And they're like discussing how to eugenically filter out the population. You can't pretend that that doesn't happen. There would be no reason to have a government if they weren't doing that. That the Hunger Games are sort of like a psychic, yeah, we know exactly what's happening. That our Freudian slips are all over the place. And we're just seeing that all of these things are exactly what we don't want to see. But it works on both levels, good and bad. That the bad shit that's coming out of crypto is definitely coming. And the liberating, amazing shit that's coming out of crypto is already here. And that by wasting and letting someone else harness the power of electricity, that all you're doing is making more elephants die. That you become a necessary function in the morality of what this new space brings. And it will only be brought by your lack of trepidation. Now, I'm sorry, sounding way too sermonic, and I'm sorry, I'll stop. But I want to get to psychology really quick. I started out in crypto 4 or 5 years ago. I was day trading a lot, and it was really amazing. I got wrecked all the time. I got redeemed all the time. And it was chronically sucking every bit of my lifestone all the time. And because I didn't have a lot of other things to focus on, I found it to be very fulfilling because it filled up all that space. And I want you to realize that that kind of thinking, that kind of day trading, which I'm about to show you how it has its place, it still is a byproduct of scarcity economy. It still is. And that most of the trading that's happening is based on the fashion trends between one brand and another. And there's certainly a lot. You're betting on seagulls at that point. You're like, which seagull's going to get the hot dog? And there's some magic. That is the primal magic center of life right now, because you're looking at the raw prana of belief circulating in a ledger. The very first time ever that magic itself was freaking incarnated on your screen. And when you start to understand what that money is, these is people believing in something outside of the pyramid. And if you've ever been to festivals, you know exactly what I mean, that when you're at a festival, your chances of connecting to someone else on a deeper, more profound level are 10 times higher, because they're out and they're in this other atmosphere. And that this crypto space is doing that right now, that it's turning into this large manifest festival-esque kind of mind frame mindset. It will get you wrecked and it will do you well. But below all that, I'd like for you to baptize yourself from the scarcity thinking. And I'd like you to realize how much better you will do in this field if you have a base. And that you will never do well at this if you're looking for food, clothing, shelter, food, clothing, shelter. That you have to have that, and you will not notice how powerful that feels to have that solved. I feel like I'm lecturing, and I'm so sorry. It's just that some of you may not be self-employed. And when you're self-employed, you learn this very, very slowly. You learn the power of your pranic field when you're covered. It's an immune response. And if you don't have that immune response, you don't necessarily notice, but you find yourself getting sick all the time, currency sick. And the currency sick ends up being causing an inflammatory response, precisely because you don't have that base covered. And so you get hit with fees when you're at the most broke. You get hit with a parking ticket when you're at your worst. And that you find yourself addicted to that lack, the same reasons why we find ourselves addicted to certain victimhood. And so as you're going forward, I want you to realize that the confidence that you have at your center is going to be your crucible for all the crazy ideas that you want to investigate as you go forward in this space. This space is so big, there's so many different fields that you're going to have to be going into it alone all the time. And you're going to make bad calls, you can make good calls. And the bad calls are good and the good calls are bad. It's going to depend on what you've learned from it. Anyway, I started an NFT right before this meeting. I took the picture of the cake that Sarah made our tribe that says best apocalypse ever. And I took that picture and I turned it into an NFT. And I put it on the blockchain and I put it for sale. And it's the first example of me learning something new that I've never tried before. And that this witness power, I think, will be manifested more so as we start to understand how this affects everything. It's hard to imagine right now, but you holding a token is you giving witness to a certain system. And that is actually worth a lot. It's always been worth a lot. That your real estate works in the world the same way, the popularity contest at school, the who's in the boss's favorite work, that all those, believe it or not, are ledger tokens of prana that have been exchanged. And this entire time that you've been listening to me, every single time I've said the word prana, I've been talking about a token, a token of witness, a token of your life force that you give to me if you watch my live stream, or you give to someone else when you're engaged, right? that this token is worth something, and we get to define what that means and what it's worth going forward. I'll shut up about all that now. Thank you for considering that. Because I'm not an expert in crypto, that's my bring to dojo crypto. It is the psychological fireside advice that I just gave you is what I'm offering, whether you wanted it or not, but you showed up, so there it is. And we can talk about that or not. It's not required at all. My hope tonight is simply to charge up our tribe with the notion of considering these things. If you're new to crypto, I will just finish by simply saying this. I think that there's absolutely no way that you could ever lose by taking a certain amount of money, probably a little bit more than 20, but it probably wouldn't take more than 100, and simply just buying some crypto with it. And that by just going through that process, even though you may even count that money as something that you spent on a concert, that you are embracing this something new, and you're starting to enter into the world of self-sovereign banking. And if you can overcome the next task, which is to transfer that money from one wallet to another, you really, really become, I swear, it's like if you've ever asked Jesus in your heart, I know this sounds cheesy, but it worked. When I was little, because I asked Jesus in my heart, and I remember feeling something, and I remember telling my mom, and she looked at me like, well, wait, you're not supposed to feel something. What are you talking about? That the energy itself, I swear, when you transfer your money from one wallet to another, you feel that same, oh God, that was so, because you had all of your money and you could have fucked it up. And that there's not a teller. You can't go back to the teller and say, hey, I pushed the wrong button. I pushed the wrong button. That's gone now. And that there are many people in the world that need that handhold, and that you're not one of them anymore. And that overcoming that fear is actually the alchemizing of power, that you will gain physical prana by doing that. And you can use that to spend in other things. So that's all. There are no hands up. I should have asked for that first. I should have asked for that first. I should have asked for that first. Now, I'm not going to talk the whole time. I cannot talk the whole time. I will talk. You know I can talk the whole time. We don't want that. I want you to, if you're interested in this, thank you, Kristen. I can feel you. Thank you for that love. I would like for you to maybe consider that there are people here in this room that know more than you about a certain thing, and that this might be a good opportunity to kind of link up. I'm not trying to assign work or tasks for anybody, but there are just so many different topics that require such a nuanced kind of knowledge in all of this, that it might be helpful for something like that to happen. It might also really be helpful if during these Crypto Dojo, if people were to do kind of similar what I just did at the beginning, which is actually just really try and bring something valuable that they think might be insightful for others to consider. Link up, all that stuff. Melanie, I would, if this is to do anything at all, I think that we as a tribe happen to have the resources that we could facilitate that. That we have Melanie here who busts her ass already, that she's already got all this lined up. She can help facilitate, just like dojos, just like we manage the dojos, that we have the same kind of thing that we could do there. So it's an invitation is what it is. With that said, I'm going to, if you've never been to dojo, what it is we raise our hands, and then the moderator, which changes, it's not supposed to be me, but because it's Crypto Dojo, I'm doing it tonight, but I will call on people, but we try to have open witness as much as possible. If you feel so inclined, you may just speak up. And if you feel really bad, like, God, I shouldn't have spoke up, that's great. That's what dojo's for. You're supposed to feel really embarrassed, then you're supposed to process it and shit. Then you're supposed to grow, and you're supposed to alchemize it. You're not here to learn how to do things right. You're here how to do things wrong. One of which is that I'm talking too much. Krista, go ahead. Good to see you.
Hi. Yeah, can you hear me? Okay.
Yes.
You know, it was very interesting today in your live stream, James, when you talked about the crypto being used in that country. I don't really watch the news, so that was very interesting to me. Um, I'm interested in that because I'm wondering if it could be transferred into starting cities. Like, could cities be run that way? Or, you know, or our very own community? Could we incorporate and have a city and run it that way? Um, I'm just wondering if that's even a thing, but it's got to be a thing. If a country has adopted it, don't you think a city could?
Yeah.
I don't have a lot of knowledge about crypto, so I'm not sure how that goes, but I wanted to put that out there because it's freaking fascinating to me. I mean, I've already thought over the years about wouldn't it be cool to start our own city or town or community? How would we incorporate it? How would it run? Um, but it would be freaking badass to have one that was run like that. So I just wanted to throw that in while I felt courageous to speak up.
I want to add to that because it's a really good point. And what I want to add to that is that even though there's a government coin attempt here with this CBDB thing, I want people to realize that there really is the point of no return is gone, and that government will never be able to control your commerce again. I'm not saying that like you could do it. What I mean is that even if government says that you have to do this and you have to do that, that all of the money that you would ever have to pay taxes on, for example, could only be taxed once it's converted into a tangible asset like a dollar. And the truth of the matter is, thank you, Sterling. The truth of the matter is that Sterling and I will make our own deal. That I will have something that I consider valuable that I know Sterling will consider valuable. And we will say, fuck you to any other dollars. And we will simply exchange. And we do that now, right? Johnny B probably has a pretty nice egg harvest business going behind his back. Maybe, I'm guessing, but he could. That each of us have our own, some of you beautiful souls grow herb. Some of you participate in that activity, that all of us have these side chains that already occur anyway. And so everything that you're watching on the news about regulating something, I think is just jargon. I say that because I don't think that it would even be possible. You would simply just watch the barter economy get so much bigger. It's the barter economy was already there. All they've done is created a token that made it like worldwide, simple, and instant. Do you understand? Well, like that, it's already there. So it's not even about we have to convince people to not do that. Anyway, I shouldn't be talking so much. Kristen, are you done? If so, put your hand down. Okay, thank you, my dear. Johnny B, so glad you made it. Guys, Johnny B throws out a lot of good stuff on Telegram. I highly recommend joining that channel if you can get a link. Anyway, go ahead, Johnny.
Thanks, James. Okay. Yeah, no, about the eggs. Can you hear me? Yeah, good.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. It's funny you mentioned it because this is the first day we had one egg out of 14 chickens. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if they're hiding it. I don't know if they're on mutiny, but that's a whole separate thing. What I wanted to mention is when is a good time to get into crypto? And this gave me a lot of vitriol in the past. I think going back now 3 years ago is the first time I was seriously going to get into crypto. I got the funds together. I was figuring out how to transfer it into trading accounts, how to purchase it, because there's a lot of steps you got to learn. And at the very last minute, my family talked me out of it and said, go with silver. Silver is the way to go. Silver is going to go. Silver is a real physical item. It's going to go to the moon, basically. You can't hold crypto, you can't touch it, it doesn't exist. It's the same thing, Peter Schiff, he's a big gold proponent. He had a recent interview where he just keeps hammering away the thing. Gold has value. Gold has value because it exists. Crypto doesn't exist. And gold is just a rock. It's a shiny rock. It has value because people hold it. That's what gives it value. They charge it up by holding it and hiding it in their safe. Crypto's the same way. It exists as digits. You keep it on your computer or keep it in a wallet. And as long as you value it, you're charging it up. That's where the value is coming from. So going back to my point, 3 years ago, I was going to get it. Everyone told me go with silver. It's going to go through the roof. Then I looked at Bitcoin was $5,000 then. And I was like, that's it could go down to 1,000. It could go to 500. So then I was looking, what's the second most popular one? Ethereum, ETH, Ethereum. It was $150 then. And I was like, should I just put a couple in? Should I? I ended up putting nothing. And I still feel that vitriol to this day because the silver is still in my safe in the closet. It's worth about half as much as it was back then because it dropped in price. So I took the plunge this spring. I put some funds aside and started to learn it. And it's a roller coaster. I mean, you gotta just don't sell. Just buy it, trade it if you are not feeling a certain one, but don't cash out into fiat. It's just gonna go away. So I'm just trying to see how much more I can bring in, and I'm looking at ways like when I start selling things around here, like lumber or maple syrup, try to incorporate crypto into it to bypass everything. Trying to learn what the difference is between tokens. I see a lot of people pushing tokens right now. I'm green as everybody else in here, so I'm just learning. I got some hunches with certain ones, and I should really stick to my hunches because if I did it quite a few times, I had a good feeling about one. I had a certain number of tokens, and then I started second guessing, and it went down for 2 days or 3 days or even a week. And basically, as soon as I sell it or trade it, that's when it shoots up. So just trading is it's a good way to lose sleep. So you gotta be yeah. And there is some aspects to this. I'm looking into the moon cycles with Bitcoin. There seems to be very strong correlation between full moon and new moon and how Bitcoin overall moves. And someone pointed out in the last 6 moon cycles, if you bought Bitcoin on new moons and sold it on the full moons, you would have been up a lot of percent. It seems to go with the moon cycles. So I'm trying to analyze some charts. I'm in some specialized groups in Telegram, and I'm trying to figure out how to read the charts and if there's any link to astronomy and stuff like that. But yeah, thanks for listening.
Johnny, can I ask a question for a second? When you were explaining everything and just going over when you first started, because there was a couple people that had questions of how to start and things like that. And I know that this is like kind of like an overview, but you pretty much did your own research, right? Just like most of us. And
yeah, depending on what country you're in, like there's certain ways. It's called on-ramp, how you bring funds into the crypto market. And there's preferred ways to do it based on what bank you're with and what country you're in. So I found out the one for Canada, what the best one is. And there's an app called ShakePay. It looks like a raccoon. And then you just e-transfer yourself or you e-transfer into the crypto market through your bank. And then hypothetically, if you ever want to cash out, you also e-transfer yourself the money back out through there. And they take a certain percentage, and that's kind of how they operate. So I haven't taken funds out yet. I don't really plan on unless it's needed. So thanks.
Just want to add in on that really quick that El Salvador moving to Bitcoin, although that's huge, the profound news is the admission that there's no way that they can collect taxes ever again. That when you're understanding what's actually happening, that something like income tax literally becomes impossible. You're going to find that you're going to need tokens to use a red light, and that you're going to show up at a red light and your car's going to have 3 tokens, and an ambulance is going to have 178 tokens, and that the ambulance is going to win the red light. So I'm not trying to say that, woo, there's no more taxes. I'm trying to say that you personally, you as a resource, that changes, and that the service becomes something else. I think that's why they took down the POTUS seal for those 6 weeks. The only way to move on to the next level is to simply inherit the infrastructural service chain that runs the land. That's probably what government will look like soon. And if you've read my article, The Man from Katua, I described a long time ago the Ethereum blockchain used by a tribe of people like us. I never used the word Ethereum because I didn't want to scare anybody away. But it's the idea that our belief in a collective has always been its own force, but now it's quantified by tokens. That everyone who liked Matchbox 20 or whatever becomes a force in nature, and that you would utilize your witness to make sure that you are own tokens or stake, your witness stake is in Matchbox 20. That's really, I think, what you're looking at the future more being about. It is the power of your association is your job. Does that make sense? Your new job becomes who and what you associate with. That determines how well or how not well you are doing in an economic scale, but within a framework that has much more cushion for this egg crate personality that we've raised us all in. Sterling, go ahead. Good to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here. Can y'all hear me? Awesome. So my journey with crypto has started within the last 6 months, and it has been absolutely incredible. I've learned from a dear friend of mine from the ground up the infrastructure that powers most of this, and it's riddled with mythology, with ancient history, with all of these things that we listen to you talk about all the time. And the one that really caught my ear when he told me about it was Crypto.com. Their CRO token, their Crow token, was very cheap just 6 months ago, and they have a whole system that allows you to integrate your job into your crypto life. So they have a bank account that they open up for you in New York City, even though New York City can't use crypto. It's the craziest thing. You can't use Crypto.com in New York City, but the bank that they use for everybody else is from there. And I have gained financial freedom from integrating my entire workflow through this system. I have so what I did was I staked for a debit card essentially through them that allows me to convert crypto to spendable fiat. And I've kind of been living out of that, putting money in, pulling out, putting in, pulling out. But it was growing as the market was moving. The income that I had sitting in there was continuously growing. And in the last month, my life has totally changed. I told my boss I was going to quit. I'm done. And because of the electricity that I carry around me now, I put my 2 weeks in. People start giving me tips at work. I've never gotten tips at work, but I just have this glow about me that says, give me money, I guess. I don't know. And my boss calls me in this past Monday and he's like, don't quit. I said, why shouldn't I quit? I'm making more money doing this than I am working for you. And he said, you know what? I know you like working up here, which I do. It's an old business in town. I get to see lots of familiar older people that work really hard, and I admire the way that they live and have gone through their lives. And they the guy is like, I know you don't like this manager, and I know you don't like this accountant lady that we have. I'll get rid of them both. I'm like, really? I'm like, this is great. And so I told him, yeah, I'll stay for a little while. I'll build up my nest egg a little bit better and not have to pay near as much in taxes on my crypto, because when you move it back to this centralized exchange, which is what crypto.com is, that is a taxable event, whether it's in crypto or it's in the fiat wallet that they create for you out of this bank. It's a taxable event because you have those financial gains tied to you. And I do most of my money making and buying and swapping, and I don't really sell a whole lot. I just swap a lot into DeFi, which DeFi is where it's at. It changes the old model of the buyer seller. So you've got somebody in the stock market that's a buyer and a seller. They agree on a price point and the trade happens. Whereas the automated money markets, I believe is what they're called. You throw your money into a liquidity pool, and usually the reward is a token that's based on that liquidity pool's network. So the one that really got me going is VVS Finance. It's called Very, Very Simple DeFi. And they started just about 3 weeks ago on the Kronos network. And Kronos, and this rang true immediately, that's the Titan of time from Saturn. Saturn is the money in the markets and all of this stuff. And so instantly, when this market was launched, I was like, I need to be here. I know what's fixing to go down. I know from the mythology alone that this is going to be a very, very big deal. And so BVS Finance opens 3 weeks ago, a month ago. I'm there day one, hour zero. I've got my funds. I've got my mother's funds in there because she made a little money on Dogecoin of all things. Something with no utility, but the meme is strong, so people buy it, make money. And I 10x'd. I hear about 10xing in crypto all the time, but I actually freaking did it. And I was so blown away by the amount of money and electricity that can be created just by involving yourself in a brand new space. And my buddy Josh, who showed me all of this stuff and really like peeled the onion away to show me what's at the core of this. And it's blowing my mind how much financial opportunity there is right now. That the fear of being wealthy, in the sense of owning your own time, being responsible for your own time, scares the absolute hell out of most people, and they will never do it until there's really not a whole lot to gain from it. And what's going to happen because of that is that they're not going to have a say. Like you were talking about El Salvador, how they use the tokens, the prana, right, to cast their vote. A lot of platforms already do this. They call it governance. They'll put a proposal up, and it costs a significant amount of money to participate in these votes. It's not just, you can't just say, hey, I'm here, I exist, therefore my vote is just as valuable as everybody else's. And it's not going to work that way. It's going to be the people with the most knowledge of the space, the most capital in that space, that are going to be allowed to conduct this. I even have a guy, I used to do his yard. So I started out doing the floor in his house, and then I did some trim work. I painted a little bit, and it's a really nice house. It's a $1 million home. And he's like, hey, I want you to take care of the grass. I want you to hang around. And then COVID starts. He's like, I can't have you around here. And so get out. And I'm like, okay. Well, through the grapevine of the small town I live in, he hears how well I've done in crypto. My dad's quite the loudmouth. And he comes up to me, he hands me $1,000 and he says, "What can you do with this?" I said, "I'm gonna be honest, not much. But because I need some fiat for other stuff that I can't use crypto for, I'll take that. I'll transfer $1,000 worth of my crypto with, no strings attached. Nobody can see what I'm doing over here on DeFi. I make him a little account and I get him going, and he's blown away. I mean, he's made 50% in the last week and a half. He's never seen anything like that. And I said, "You missed the crazy stuff at the last couple weeks, but even these people are blown away with an investment that can perform so quickly." And I'm just so thankful to have people like you, James, in this community of that don't just call me crazy for saying you can trade Bitcoin on moon cycles. Like, if you sell on new moon, buy on new moon, you can make a ton of money. Like, somebody would have made 500% this year. And with Bitcoin, that's intense. And I'd also like to speak about NFTs. And that's really the flip that got me to where I'm at now. I sold some digital racehorses that aren't just pictures, but they're game assets. And I believe you spoke about this a few times, that the metaverse gaming and all the things that are tied to it, these NFTs aren't just static images, which is what a lot of them are right now. You have a profile picture of like a lion or the best apocalypse ever cake, these sort of things, and then there's extra stuff tied to it. Whereas the newer NFTs that are tied with gaming, it's like these assets will be brought into a digital metaverse, and then they will be used to. Oh, someone said, "So you have a ton of money." I don't have a ton of money. I have financial freedom. I'll just be honest. I made $40,000 in 1 week with VVS Finance. It was very incredible. It was great stuff. But I'm only growing from here. I'm only gonna expand from here. This is a mentality that I hold very strong within myself, that my community needs more than anything a leader. And I'm very partial to the people that I live around, and I express that to them. And instead of like a lot of the wealthier folks around here that hide out on their 100-acre, 1,000-acre, 10,000-acre, 100,000-acre ranches and don't interact and don't do anything with the community, I'm building permaculture gardens everywhere. Like, goals. I have goals and dreams in mind to do outlandish and ridiculous things just because I can. And the only way you can get to that sort of place is to just believe it and be about it. You've taught me so much about belief. And I believed in the crypto. I went full hearted at the crypto. And this thing is just unfolding in front of me, and it's showing me the beauty that can be found here, the resources, the tools, the clout. People look at you different. They hold you in a different regard. I hold myself in a different regard because of the prana that I was able to capture from this. And we can all do this. I am more than willing to show anybody how we can prosper and succeed with this. And the I would love to hear other people's input on this. It's just so incredible what crypto has done for me, and I want to hear all about it from everybody else. What do you guys think? So I'm going to pass it back over. Thank you, guys.
That was beautiful, Sterling. You did not disappoint. I knew if you came, it'd be good. You too, Johnny V. All you guys. In case you don't know, DeFi is not against finance. It's literally beautiful. It's decentralized finance, which means your witness is staking into belief that people consider valuable, and they're like, "Could I have your belief for 3 weeks? I really need your belief." And that belief is expressed in the Ethereum that you've staked, or in this, or in that, or in whatever else it is. So just, I don't want you guys to expect to understand every word that everyone's saying. And it's, anyway, just wanted to emphasize that. You're not supposed to know what everyone's saying. You're supposed to leave here going, "What the fuck is Crow? Crow, what?" That's what's supposed to happen. Whalebone, go ahead, my friend.
Yes, sir. Hello, James. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be here tonight. My crypto journey started way back in 2011, 2012. I can tell you lots of different stories about alternative currencies. I used to attempt to mint imaginable things using PayPal. They would not allow it. I learned to program my own database so that I could tokenize dreams, concepts, visions, anything that I want for free using cryptocurrency. In 2014, I became a cryptocurrency artist, and I created my first token, which I mint daily. These are called half notes. Every US dollar has 2 serial numbers on it. Whether you cut them horizontally or vertically, they are identically matched. And I exchange these for other commodities like stamps and tea bags and lattes at our Detroit Crypto Coffee here in Detroit. So in this space, I have been a miner, a proof of work miner. In 2014, I shifted to proof of stake. Currently, I secure a number of low volume, low market cap coins, securing these digital frontiers for newcomers to the space. I want to say briefly that when I hear the word DeFi, sometimes I'm insulted only because those who have tokenized that term often look at altcoins from the 2014, the earlier eras. They don't see the DeFi in us. DeFi stands for decentralized finance. And whether I'm using Cash App or PayPal or Bitcoin, this is decentralized. To support this free movement of decentralization, over the past 5 years, I've been developing a database. It's called odd.bio. It's 100% free to use and offers you the ability to publish your own bounties and things next to a crypto profile that agnostically includes Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, and 40 plus altcoins. There are levels of the database in geocaching designed for food trucks and for all sorts of vendors and consumers alike. That's my dojo, that's my verse, and I represent a rove of a guild of roving samurais from the crypto West. So any questions, truly, I assure you, I can answer any questions. I know that this room is filled with knowledge as well. Key point, energy. We talk a lot about energy. These things are real. If it were possible to travel through time, I think we would first send an email through time. Perhaps electricity would be the first thing to travel through the cosmos differently than the flesh and bone. So with these things considered, let us always remember that cryptocurrency is the art. The NFT, it tokenizes art, but every address you produce, look for a name in it, look for a message, look for numerical communications. When you make your transfers, look at them magically. Cast your spells into the cryptoverse on every send. And on Oddbank, we measure time into 8 decimal points. Every time you load a page, there are 8 more numbers for you to look at. So it's built for numerologists and folks who are interested in the cosmos and concepts that, well, maybe we haven't even considered yet. I could stand here for a long while, and I thank you for this opportunity. I'm Whalebone from Oddbank. Enjoy your evening.
Oh, it's fantastic. Really great. That was great. I'm gonna, because there's hands up, I normally we'll have open witness at the end, but I really love the flow here, so let's keep it going. Steve Crockett, go ahead, my friend. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me. Johnny B, can you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? All right. Okay, awesome. Yeah, James, a couple streams ago, I really liked what you said about, ships are leaving every day. And I've stayed away from crypto, not because I had, this kind of wary feeling or fear about it, but just the unknown. And I just want to let you know that because of that stream and the way you talked about it, and because you set up this dojo, just in the last 3-4 days, I've set up a Coinbase account. So I'm the opposite end of the spectrum that Sterling and Whalebone are. I haven't even transferred any money in yet because I'm still kind of learning how Coinbase works. I have also found a buddy at work who has been into crypto for a while, and I'm going over to his place this weekend. And he's going to show me the ropes and kind of get me set up. And so anybody that hears what Whalebone has to say and is confused and are new like I am, I guess I would just say, take the basic steps. Coinbase was really easy to set up. And really don't approach it from a scarcity mindset. You know, just make up your mind that you've got a set amount of money you're going to put into it. You're going to put into crypto, and you're doing it to learn. And you know, the way I've seen it so far, it's like that mystery becomes the driving force that gets you to dig a little bit deeper and start to learn it. And what little I've seen, I'm intrigued greatly. For the last few years, I've got a brother-in-law who's been in crypto-based business, and it's kind of been a running knock against him and my family that, oh, well, we don't know what he does. And it kind of like what you said, James, that, you know, the unknown is what gets shamed and kind of gets vitriol thrown at people just because they don't understand what it is. And I think you can't possibly begin to understand or learn unless you experience it yourself. And so that's where I'm at right now. But thanks everybody for your experiences, and thanks for setting up this dojo, James. It's really exciting, and I'm looking forward to the journey.
I have to shout out Melanie. And man, thanks for coming. Melanie really does put in all the work here. I just announced it. I even announced dates wrong, and she still somehow makes it right. And I'm so glad you said that, because I want to interrupt real quick to say, please listen to this carefully. If you have not put a dime in crypto yet, I need you to know something. It is not too late. You did not miss anything. I swear to you, you have no idea how much more is coming. And if you look at the market cap, these people are smiling because they know what I mean. It's just a matter of just looking at numbers, right? It's just numbers. You know that more is coming. You see how much more is coming. Trust me, you were early. I know you've gotten to the island, and we already have a 4-story tall bamboo hut, and there's a daiquiri machine, and there's a freaking mule that wanders the beach handing out marijuana joints, but we're just getting started at this place. It's just happening. So I need you to know, take that FOMO, that it's called the fear of missing out, and just let it go. That's the scarcity. That's the scarcity talking, that you're going to do fine, and you don't need to catch up with Sterling. You don't need to catch up with Sterling. Trust me, there's more abundance there. Johnny B, go ahead.
Thanks. Yeah, very good insight from a lot of you guys. Just throwing it out there, what is the significance of wrapping a token or a coin and sending it to PancakeSwap? Because I don't know if anyone has experience with that. There's a lot of volatility and a lot of profits to be made on the PancakeSwap. One is like the Binance network. It's just, that's where I'm kind of, see, I bought some coins early on. I parked 90% of them. I kept 10% for trading. But this summer, you know, I bought it in spring, summer, fall. It's been very busy. It's our first year on the homestead. So we have a lot of stuff to go. So but now that winter is here, I wanted to really focus on the mechanics of it. I wanted to be like Sterling's energy, where you kind of know what everything is. I've heard DeFi. I don't really know exactly how it works, but the one that a lot of people in a Telegram group I'm in are pointing to is get funds over to PancakeSwap, and those are the ultra penny tokens. I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. Does anyone have any experience with this? You can just jump in if you do.
Hey, jumping in real quick here. It's Mike. been in crypto since back in 2017, rode the last bull cycle. I did want to give a word of warning, not to be scarcity mindset about it, but Binance Smart Chain has been having some problems as of late. I know they were producing blocks backwards recently. I had a decent amount of cryptocurrency on the Binance Smart Chain, and I actually have been hedging out of it because of the way it's performing. Binance itself as an organization, you know, screw the corporate model, screw the government model, but they've been very sketchy with all of it, with being forthcoming. I've seen lots of times when accounts will get locked or frozen when the price of something goes up or down, which shows me that they may be insolvent at times. So I would be careful over there. As far as wrapping a token, what you're talking about there is tokens have native chains that they're part of. So for instance, James has talked about Ethereum a lot. Ethereum has an ERC20 standard, it's called. So if I make a token like Chainlink is native to the ERC20 blockchain, whereas Bitcoin is not native to that chain. So I can take Bitcoin, you wrap it in a smart contract, so it basically locks that Bitcoin up and generates a WBTC, and there's other variations of that, but I digress. And so that way you can trade that Bitcoin on the Ethereum network with those ERC20 tokens, even though Bitcoin doesn't live on that network. So it kind of gives you token access or token, what's the word I'm looking for? Transferability on other networks that they may not be native to. To the point earlier, we are so very early that there's a lot of things that, you know, they're oil and water right now. Like you can't just take something from Solana and shoot it over to Avalanche and have it work. You have to either wrap it or find some other way. Bridging is becoming a thing. So moving from like Ethereum layer 1 to Ethereum layer 2, for instance. And I don't want to go too far down there, but somebody said in the chat, interoperability, that is being built. Those middlewares are being built. You are still incredibly early. And if anybody has any questions about that, thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. Yeah, that cleared up some stuff. The reason I was saying that is if I wanted to, I don't want to, the coin I got a lot of is Pirate Chain. And they added a feature recently to wrap it up and send it over to Pancake Swap or some other kind of swapping network. So, and the way I kind of envisioned it is you wrap it up, send it over there, use it to trade on their market, and then you can always bring it back. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm checking right now while we're talking what network Pirate Chain lives on. I think it's its own chain. So it's proprietarily not a member of ERC20 or like the Binance Smart Chain. So you probably would have to wrap it to be able to see that. In the chat, I put something down called CoinGecko. CoinGecko is kind of like an index of currencies. It's basically all the currencies out there. After a certain market cap, they get listed. So there's thousands available. But so if you have specific questions about specific coins, it's a good place to start. One thing I would want to draw your attention to that point is that if you were to go and look at a coin like Pirate Chain, you're going to look at what blockchain viewer you can use to actually see the blocks on, to actually visualize the blockchain itself. When I'm looking here, it's using DEX stats, KMDP, Pirate. So it's another type of explorer for another type of chain. If you were talking about Pancake Swap, that is built on Binance Smart Chain. So you'd use, and I'm looking at that really quick, you'd use the BSC scan. And so that way, that's usually a good indication of where that token lives natively, is to look at what explorer you need to be able to visualize it. I hope that clears things up. So the example you're giving then is you would actually be wrapping it up into the Binance Smart Chain so you can collateralize it, trade it, and do things with it on that chain, even though it doesn't natively live there.
What's the one with the cake? Something about cake.
That's Pancake Swap's. That is Pancake Swap's native token. They use that for their liquidity pools. They pay you out rewards in that. That's their token.
This is this is why I wanted to have a Crypto Dojo, because I knew that there would be black belts and white belts on the mat at the same time. And I think that that's where most of the learning and exchange is happening, and we grow from that. So take the ignorance that you might be feeling over this and find it exciting that you're about to pull a bra off and you've never seen those boobs, right? Like it's make it like that, because you'll find that the goal is not to get somewhere. The goal is to find flow state. What Sterling's talking about is flow state. What all of us want, whether or not we want to admit it or not, is flow state. And if you're enjoying this process, if you're enjoying what literally has been handed to you, then you will have flow state and the decisions will be perfect for you. It's perfect that this happened to Sterling when it did. Sterling was in the hospital just 2 months ago. There's a flow state to all of this, and you will find it if you're enjoying yourself in this process. Alora, great to see you. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm just going to give some real white belt paranoias because I'm totally new to this. I have a cousin who does Bitcoin and he watches that thing grow like his kids. So I know it's exciting and I know it's novel. But I was talking to someone else earlier and they were throwing things at me like, how do you know that the CIA didn't come up with cryptocurrencies? And the FBI will come after your cryptocurrencies if you default on a loan or something. So can they do that? Can they seize your cryptocurrency? And how does it guarantee decentralization? I guess, I don't know, because there's all of this talk about mining these things. Where do they mine them from? Is it, so it's all computer based and it's just very not tangible for me. So maybe someone could speak to that. And sorry, my baby just woke up, so I gotta cut it. But thank you for letting me talk.
Thank you for gracing us with the white belt. That was beautiful, beautiful white belt. It's a lot of us don't like to show that white belt, and it's really helpful. I will say that crypto protects you not one bit at all from any government predator doing whatever they want to do to you, and that they will have just as much luck as they will come to your house and say, where's that gold that you dug behind the shed? Is the exact same as, what is your crypto key? What is your secret letters? That it's the same thing. You're looking at the same thing. And that gold itself decentralizes currency. You know that. Silver itself, having weed decentralizes currency. I don't mean to make this all about weed, but just like that happens to be something that's like has a black market. It has its own currency market. That is what we mean by it's decentralized and there's nothing you can do to change it. If someone in the CIA came up with this, I think they're fucking brilliant. And I get why they got the job at the CIA, because this literally tears down the whole motherfucking pyramid. It tears it down, and it was already coming down anyway, because this is just the barter system quantified. But I shouldn't be talking, I'm sorry. Mark, go ahead. And I don't want you to alleviate those concerns. I want you to hold those, honor them, witness them, because like I said, this is electricity. It's going to do some bad things to some people that didn't deserve it, definitely. But it's going to be done by people. Anyway, Mark, go ahead.
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Yeah, just so to Laura's question about mining, I think probably some people in the room know. I mean, the whole thing operates off of mining. The way it was described to me once is that Bitcoin, like precious metals, is precious numbers. Ever since its inception, you have all these computers competing with each other to crack these codes, like, and come up with these numbers, solve these equations, you know, based on Bitcoin's open source currency, to unlock blocks of coins, and miners, through their hard work and computing power, get rewards for that. And also for transactions, when you send something from one person to another, miners are working, competing for the fees that it takes to mine, to send that Bitcoin from one place to another. So the whole thing is based on miners competing with each other's for fees. So that, if, you know, without the miners doing this, the whole thing, there's no network. Nobody's got to process my transaction to transact my coins from one place to another. If you got any more questions, it sounds like there's some smarter people in the room who could be able to explain that better. First, I wanted to address Johnny B's point about silver, and I have to say, after the 2008 crash, I did buy gold and silver, and that's what I was told. You know, having physical things in your hand is good, is a great thing to have, and I believe in diversification. I definitely don't think people should go all in their whole savings to crypto. I think they should have a balance of crypto, precious metals, and US dollar until it defaults, of course. But what he said about why is gold and silver worth something, I would add to that, well, anything is worth something as long as people are willing to accept it. It's a medium of exchange or transaction. So, gold's only worth something because if I go to a pawn shop, I can get cash for that. Or if somebody's willing to accept it in exchange for food or something else I need, that gives it value. I personally believe the price is being suppressed right now. So I'm definitely not getting rid of any of my precious metals. I mostly wanted to address the new people in the room. I bought my first Bitcoin back in 2014, and I just held on to it. I spent a lot of time over in Russia, and this guy Max Kaiser, he was always telling me to buy it. He told me to buy it at $1 and $11, and I never listened. And then finally, I bought some at $400, and I thought I was pretty slick. I just held on to it for years, and then in 2017, the last big bull run that some of you probably remember, I watched the thing go up to $20,000. And as my family was wondering what it was all about, I'm sitting here looking at my bank statement, like grinning and knowing that I had gotten in on this thing, but I didn't sell. It was the top of the bubble, the top of the peak, and I watched it go all the way back down to like 3,100. I think that was in 2018 December. So yeah, you need to ask yourself, what are you doing for this for? What is your goals? And are you an investor or a trader? Because trading is a hell of a lot harder than investing. A lot of people recommend the dollar cost averaging strategy, where you're just, hey, you got a little bit of extra money this month, but just buy some Bitcoin and understand it's going to go up and down. What I was talking about in 2017, that was a peak of a huge bubble, and then it just went, down. Almost all coins went down 90. A lot of the altcoins went down 98%. And so you just got to be ready for that. If you're in it to make money, you need to figure out a plan and what you're selling. Are you selling to get cash? So, in my case, I see this as my retirement, a way to get a house, a way to do something, transfer it to something. While James, I love your speech about what you said about, the language you use, the poetry you use to describe it. I agree with that. But, right now we're approaching, like, projects are starting every day, and there's almost 10,000 coins to buy. So knowing which one to buy is a very difficult thing to do right now. Right now, we are in a bull market, and what people I follow are saying is the bull market to end all bull markets. After this one's over, either government's going to come in with the regulation, they're going to come out with a Fed coin, or they're going to just shut it down with this environmentalism. You saw Elon talking about how it's not environmentally friendly to mine Bitcoin. It's it's bad for the environment. So this gets into the whole proof of work versus proof of stake thing. But they're going to find a way the government's going to do something. And whatever you say, they can shut down the internet anytime they want. And I totally agree with that point where this could have been a whole NSA concoction to screw people over or something. But that's conspiracy theory. Who knows? Who knows who Satoshi Nakamoto is, really? But if you're getting into this now, just keep aware that you're at the top of a huge bubble, and there are millionaires and billionaires who bought this stuff really low. It got down to 3,000 or 4,000 again back in March 2020 with the big COVID crash when the stock market happened. So those people are in it from there, and they've made a hell of a lot of money watching this thing go all the way up to $69,000 the other day. And so you, as a person coming into this market, are what they call a noob, and everybody makes money by dumping on somebody else. You're buying somebody else's coins when you get into this thing. So just, a word to your wise. Investing, I've been trying to be a trader, and I've lost a good deal of the Bitcoin that I bought. But it goes in ups and downs. Trying to trade is very hard. I thought, oh, well, I'm smart, I'm going to be good at this. And some of the smartest people I think in the world are in finance and making money, and they know, and they look at all the metrics, and they got the news, and there's always like, the big thing right now is the narratives, where money is flowing. It seems to me like there's all sorts of money flowing from one group of coins to the other. And by the time you hear about it on Twitter, or this guy on YouTube who's, having a flashy video trying to show you how to get rich quick, those people have already bought. And then by the time they get you to buy, they're going to dump on you. You're going to be buying their bags. And so they've already made their profit, and they're selling to you. So that's just a little bit of words of caution. James, I thought, be a great idea for our Dojo Earth was to have a group for crypto. And I'm so glad you did this. It's like, how many people are in here now? 49, 50 at one point. And so it's a lot of interest in this thing. But just like in 2017, when MSNBC was shilling Ripple XRP at $3, the people who bought it then got killed, and the thing went down. My brother was one of those people, and so I know it's just like there's a lot of hype right now. Everybody's interested because they're hearing about it, about the news. But you need to be aware that you are the liquidity. You are buying people's, you know, you're buying people's coins that they're making huge profits on. So that's just something you need to think about it. And that's why the dollar cost averaging, which I don't personally practice, but I keep telling myself I will, hey, just buy a little Bitcoin with, you know, when I get some extra money, you know, lying around or something. I think it's smart just to have some and be in it for the long haul. There's a whole bunch of good projects that I think people here could weigh in on, and the technology changes. A lot of the biggest coins from 2017 are you know, they're dinosaurs now. The technology is improved. The technology keeps improving. There's better projects and faster transactions. That's always a thing that seems to hinder the price action, is when the fees are getting too high. Like Ethereum is a number 2 by market cap. But right now, if you know, if I want to sell $100 of my Ethereum, I almost got to pay like $50 for that transaction. And so a lot of people are kind of off that right now. That's why there's a big push to compete with Ethereum, which you know, I'm sure as people get into smart contracts and why Ethereum's better, you know, different than Bitcoin. People are actually building things on it. They're building these NFTs, and they're building decentralized finance on top of these platforms like Ethereum and Solana. So there's a lot of competition for who's going to be the next, who's going to compete with that money of Ethereum, where these people owning Ethereum are going to sell it and go buy this other stuff. So that's a big thing that I'm trying to follow right now, you know, in trying to make this what I think is this once in a lifetime opportunity to cash in on this bull market, is to where's the big money going? Because I do think that at a certain point, all these people who've made millions of dollars are like, okay, you know, it's a game of musical chairs, and you don't want to be the one holding the bag when the music stops. And I think a lot of people with a lot of money are going to start selling tune, and it's not going to be dead. Crypto's going to go on, and it's going to be as beautiful as James described it in the beginning. But 69,000 for one Bitcoin, that's a lot. And it's just kind of, but some people are still saying it's going to go up to 100,000 before this is all over. And it may very well be. But yeah, I don't know how long it's going to go on, but I know if you've made a lot of money in it right now, or are trying to right now, you got a good window where I think you can do that. Some people are saying it's going to end in January, or the bubble is going to pop in January, like it did in 2017, because you know, people got to pay taxes and their realized gains. But I think you know, who knows when it's going to stop? I don't know, but I'm definitely trying to position myself and have a plan, have a strategy. And the only other thing I wanted to say was about protecting your protecting your coins or tokens or whatever you buy, because scammers are everywhere. And I know people personally have just got their accounts hacked. There's ways you can protect yourself by having this two-factor authentication, a separate device where you got to enter in your code in order to do anything with your coins. It's very important to have that. And I actually recommend having something offline in airplane mode. Like I got a second iPhone that's offline and in Wi-Fi mode, because you know, that way nobody can get into that phone and get my Google authentication to, you know, second confirmation that I you know, in order to complete my transaction, something that nobody can hack into, because hackers are everywhere and they're just looking to get your coins. It's rampant, as well as scams like Johnny mentioned Pancake Swap. Yeah, there were a lot of what they call rug pulls now. It's like where some dudes, anybody can create a token. It's very easy. And then they can hype it and they can have good marketing and people, that's all the rave. And then all of a sudden, yoink, they just take all the money and run with it. And you're just, you know, you have a token who goes to zero. So it's the Wild West. It's beautiful, but you got to protect yourself and be careful if you're going to put a big chunk of your retirement savings or whatever in there. So I'll shut up now. Thanks.
I definitely don't want this to look like a trading. I don't think that, I just think you're just hearing more people talk about trading, that there's definitely, if you're converting your dollars into Ethereum, you don't have to know any of that. You really could just turn into Ethereum and then there you go, you're done. I did that last year. I was day trading and then I got busy, luckily. And not only did I get busy, but the day trading I found to be very, I didn't like what it was doing to me. It was changing my focus and I just didn't like it. And so I stopped and I just put everything in Ethereum and Bitcoin. As a programmer, I feel safe in Ethereum because I just know what it is. And there are 8,000 coins right now, altcoins. I thought it was 4,000, maybe it's 8,000. Only 5% of them are going to be here in 3 months. And only maybe, honestly, when if Ethereum 2.0 hits in February, it could be that most of those coins are actually just like going to go, because everything that they were doing is no longer necessary anymore. That they were simply trying to help alleviate traffic along the way. But I want you guys to know that it's not really you're buying necessarily old sold tokens, because you're actually buying chunks of a network that grew since the last time you were there. The reason why there's more market cap inside of a certain token is because the protocol itself has more liquidity in it, and that liquidity is being used and staked as witness. So you're literally watching infrastructure being built. A lot of it is definitely scam, just like any infrastructure would be. But that overall, most of the things that you're watching happening right now are really just flowing Ethereum. If someone wants to disagree on that, let me know. But really what you're looking at is most people are trading Ethereum cross-dressed as another token. And that by doing that, you're creating an economy because people want a cheaper way to get Ethereum. When you watch me on Rockfin, Rockfin pays me in RAE. I don't get cash. If someone tips me $20 on Rockfin, I have RAE, I don't have cash. That RAE is an Ethereum token. It doesn't mean I can just make it Ethereum. I have to transfer it back into Ethereum, and that's where those gas fees are. Sometimes at night, I can transfer $100 in RAE into Ethereum, and it'll cost me $50, half of the money to do that if it's during the day. But at night, that same transaction might take $15. Last week I did it, it was 25%. All those fees, which are super high right now, is causing people like Sterling to do really well because they're investing in protocols that fix those things. But Ethereum has always known this was happening. And they've always been doing nothing but everything right. The reason why the fees are so high is because it's working. And there's no way for these people to sell their tokens back into cash. I think that's the one thing that we're missing. Cash isn't a place to go. You're looking at that cash turning to dust every single day. Every single day that you keep that money in cash, I think you're losing money. I instantly convert as much as I can into Ethereum personally, or Bitcoin, simply because it's just, well, at least it's something. At least it's not deteriorating in front of my eyes. I think that right now, if you're just learning, I think you'll find that simply just by doing that, just by seeing if you're comfortable keeping your money in this format called Ethereum or Bitcoin, that just that you will instantly start to go, wow, this is pretty sweet. Because you'll wake up and you'll check your money, you'll pour your witness into it, you'll start to look around, you'll look at two-factor authentication, you'll just start paying more attention to it because it's a plant. It's like you bought an orchid, now it's home, and you're just gonna get up in the morning and look at the orchid. That's all it takes. And 4 months from now, you'll be like, holy fuck, this NFT is about to break. I gotta sit down before the IPO is about to break. Oh my God. And that whole thing will just spring from you. Thanks, Mark. Linda, go ahead.
Yeah, hi. I am also a total and complete white belt. This is like learning a new language, just commenting here. Like when I first came to you, James, I had to it took me a month before I could understand what the fucking hell you were talking about. Prawn economy in your cockpit, you know, electricity, all those things. So this is like learning a total new language for me, a total way of looking. It's the most esoteric kind of a thing. I can't it's hard to grasp it because it's all digital. It's all out there in some kind of space, some that I don't really understand. I also see that it's kind of like the stock market. You have to be willing to fluctuate with what it is, because it's going to go up, it's going to go down, you're going to lose money, you're going to make money. I'm really interested in learning more about it, but I can tell you that my son has made hundreds of thousands of dollars in Bitcoin. He is rich. It's unbelievable. And he said, I want him to do it for me, but he won't. But he says, you know, just take some money. You have to be willing to lose it. Some money that you don't really, you know, that you're willing to play with and go out there and start. But honestly, I'm just sharing. I don't, it's gonna take, like, you have to really get into it and get the language down. And like I said, it's so esoteric for me. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, oh my gosh, this is challenging. But I see people making, like my son, he's a wealthy man these days. That's all.
Thank you, Linda. Glad you made it. Johnny B, go ahead.
Thanks. Mark, thanks for that share. We needed a nice yellow belt in here. Yeah, I mean, you gotta be, the thing is, obviously there's gonna be scammers, but that's like saying, don't get that bank account because you could get robbed or someone could steal your debit card, or just, it's gonna happen. But there is, where you buy different tokens is usually on trading exchanges. And if you do leave your funds on the trading exchange, if that's where the term it's not your, like, if it's not your keys, it's not your, yeah, I'm butchering that. You guys know the saying about the keys. If it's not your keys, if you don't have the keys, it's not your money. So temporarily, when it's on the trading exchange, when you're swapping to different coins, that money is up for grabs. If you're not careful with your password, or even if the exchange goes down, they could lock it down. They could say their wallet is under maintenance for several months. Like, the safest thing to do is take it off site. But if anybody wants to get into this without actually investing money into it, there's a TradingView website. I think they have an app too. And then you can make a $1,000 float or $2,000 float of monopoly money, and you can try playing, put an offer in, because it kind of works like a stock exchange. You got to put an offer in, and you have your bid price, your ask price. If you don't know how to do that, try it with the monopoly money first. Try it for 30 days just to get the feel for it before you put your first bunch of fiat. So that's one tip. I don't know if I would be banking on this to do retirement. That's kind of, see, I guess I'm in a different boat. I'm pretty much semi-retired now, so I don't want to work, and I have my homestead, and I see the future though, and there isn't, it's going to bring out the worst and the best in people. The banks are going to take this crypto technology to the extreme. My brother was asking about it, what he thinks what's going to happen, US dollar, Canadian dollar, crypto version, and why they would do that. And the bottom line is, they could earmark what you use the funds for. They could have time limits on the funds. I agree with James. Many of the coins may not be around in a year or two. It's not sustainable to have 10,000 choices, but right now it's kind of like the Wild West. If you wanted to try some trading, you can strike gold. Safe bet is the top 10 coins. You can find the list anywhere with the top 10 and just kind of shuffle it between whichever you're feeling. But one thing which I'm trying to get away from is, don't go with the news. I'm trying to see if there's moon cycles to this magic, if there is reading the charts. You don't follow the news. Don't go with logic. It does not work. It's it's almost like the stock market in that sense, because I know someone who made almost $300,000 on the stock market because he had a tip that to buy cruise ships stocks when COVID hit. And even though there was no cruise ships, their stocks went through the roof and he made a ton of money. So it just, you don't go with the news. You go with your gut, if anything, or go with the top 10. That's all.
Thank you, Johnny. I want to give one more. It's not like we have enough data, but as a programmer, this is something I know. A lot of the altcoins that are coming out are promising a new protocol. It's going to be developed. It's going to be built. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. It's going to do this and it's going to do that. And the hype is real. But keep in mind, hype doesn't mean it's not successful. That most of all financial transactions are built around a core of fraud. I'm not just true. That every single part of this has fraud, which shows you that it's not that it's crooked. It's that it's based on belief. That's all. That it's not based on truth, it's based on belief. And that one downside I want you to consider when you're watching people that are trying to start a new coin right now is I want you to think about when they're saying we're going to hire 20,000 developers, those people don't actually exist right now. That the market for developers building blockchain doesn't exist. And do you know why it doesn't exist? Because if you knew how to program blockchain, why the fuck are you working for an hourly wage somewhere? Why? And if you factor that in, and if you play the technology of belief, I think you're going to have a hard time losing a dime by buying Ethereum, by buying Bitcoin. I think you're going to really have to really fuck up so bad on the way to the exchange to lose money off that. I just don't think it's possible right now. And so if you're looking to learn, I would actually push you further to say, don't even play Monopoly money. Take that $20 fiat and say, I curse you and banish you, just like Whale was talking about by selling. I love that bill that he's trading for T, because you're taking that money out of the system and you're saying, fuck you, Pharaoh. Fuck you, Pyramid. And that you're transmuting that into something that's tangible witness. And you get to apply where that witness goes for what coin you believe in, what coin you feel. Ethereum's so big that if you guys all go out and buy Ethereum, it's not like I make more money tomorrow. It doesn't work that way. But these smaller coins that have like 1 million market cap, shit like that works. That works because it has such a small market cap that those little blips make people really hungry. But on top of, underneath all this is you have this massive thing called ERC20, Ethereum, that has the idea that, wait a minute, my dollar can be assigned to my will. Bitcoin doesn't do that. Ethereum lets you assign will to that token. And I'm under the impression that that will change. It's already changed the entire landscape of everything that's happening right now. That's why the Ethereum gas is so high, because it's literally changing everything that's underneath it. And please note that when El Salvador turns into Bitcoin, something very different happens that's never happened before in your lifetime, because you've never seen limited money. You've never seen that. That the moment El Salvador claims that we're going to run on Bitcoin, everybody that owns Bitcoin just got rich. And the reason why is because that state has to bond, they have to freeze Bitcoin and place it in their dark, deep safe so they can run their country off of it. And when you do that, you're eliminating scarcity of a supply, which makes the value go up. And that's what Ethereum and Bitcoin do, which is why it's not too late. And it's why it's not going to be something that's going to go wrong. It's not. If your Ethereum goes down and crashes, it's because fucking Cthulhu himself raised out of the fucking ocean and is walking around Denver, like pulling buildings out and shoving them up his nose. Like that's where we're at. We're at DEF CON Cthulhu, right? When that shit goes down, because you're seriously saying, well, is it really better than the sinking, burning Titanic, where as soon as you go on it, there's filling you with vaccines and telling you how corporately dirty you are? Are you sure it's not better than that? It's that kind of argument. It's really hard to choose wrong, which is why I think you're watching these two towers casting this spell, calling on people like you to create a new Aquarius. Anyway, we're over time. I'm really sorry about that. If you're interested in doing more of these, I would like for you to please consider reaching out to Mel. And the reason why, Mel, I hope you're okay with this, Melanie, but if you reach out to Mel, maybe you could even give us sort of like, I want to know more about this. The reason why is because if Melanie gets enough responses from that, she will produce another crypto. Melanie produced this dojo. I just told her I would host it. Melanie produced this. You need to thank her. But she will produce another one or whatever, and we'll just let it see how it goes. So thank you all for coming. And I really appreciate a lot of the meeting some new people here too. It's been really great. So let's, anyone else have any last things they want to say before we close this down? If so, unmute, show your bravery and say it.
Yeah, I got a quick white belt question. When you say Bitcoin, is that talking about a bunch of things within that word, or is that talking about like one thing?
Bitcoin is one thing. Good question. Yeah, it's basically a currency, Bitcoin. It's a token on the Bitcoin network. This is what I mean. These kind of things, when Melanie sees these things compiled, I think that you might find that we've got a great workings for a beginner dojo, and maybe a great workings for a, something more advanced. Like, I want to learn how to stake Ohm.
She does.
I do. I've been telling Melanie for a while. Staking Ohm is not like, oh, let me just tell you how to do it. And some of you are like, Jews, it's so easy. Guys, get your shit together, James. But to me, that's hard. That's where I'm at. I have to learn how to stake Ohm, to learn how to make an NFT. So we're all learning. Any other last comments?
James, I'm just curious what you've developed, what your skill sets are, what your interests are in developing.
With Ethereum and blockchain?
As a programmer.
Oh, my programming was more like 3D stuff. Yeah, I'm actually working on a movie right now.
Okay.
But yeah, in Unreal Engine, but with the screenplay that my patrons helped me write. It's pretty fucking badass. Oh, I'm so excited about that. See, that's where my passion is. But anyway, it's all part of this psychology. It actually ties into the whole ancient society. I really think that the mythos of Apollo, that entire mythology story, you're freaking looking at the last blockchain, and that what the sun would do would come in and chop the head off Apollo, would chop the mythos, which means that the blockchain will eventually grow so big that a solar event, an EMP, would destroy all of the silicon memories, magnetic and silicon. Silicon's light, right? That both those things would be reset, and that mythos, the blockchain, Babel itself, the language of Babel itself, is the blockchain, and that it's simply rising up again. It's beautiful. So the mythology that Sterling's talking about, I am all about that mythology, and the screenplay has a lot to do with that. Why did I tell you that? All right. Anything else? All right, everyone.
Yeah. Sorry. One more thing.
Go ahead, John.
Yeah.
I was actually looking at staking Ohm as well. You're talking about Olympus, right?
Yep.
Okay. Someone who recommended that said, don't go that route, go with Wonderland and Time. I'll send you the link on Telegram. I don't know what it means.
Yeah, because even Mike was mentioning that. He actually mentioned No Man Time, and which is funny. Mike just said, I didn't want to bring that up because it's so hard, and it is. That's sort of like an advanced thing you got to do. It's not hard. It's just if you're like, you get it. We'll figure it out. All right, guys, let's unmute. Have a great day. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hey, James.
See you soon.
Bye.
Everyone.
you.
Really
Bye.
thanks.
Bye.
It's been a nice day.
Definitely email Melanie.
Yes, thanks,
definitely.
Melanie.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Jen, for
Thank you, Mel.
everything.
Thank you, babe. Love you all.